So yeah, once again, obviously, poor internet quality down there in Southland or this and whatever, but we struggled there, so we're going to do the car interview. Let's give Phil a call.
Oh,
hello, Phil.
g'day, mate. How you going?
Not too bad. We got you nice and clear here, so we can't really get it too far wrong now, I think. Got you, it's become a bit of a Kiwi voice thing from time to time, needing to do it in the car if we struggle with the internet issues. So, all right. So, Phil and Lynelle Barrett, my apologies.
Yep.
From Clutha area, we've got Phil running in the Clutha Valley ward and Lynelle running in the Catlins ward for council down that way. So, kicking it off with you, Phil, give us a bit of detail about yourself. Who is Phil Barrett?
Phil Barrett is a 53-year-old father. I have lived in the South Otago area basically all my life. I started off my schooling down this way in Beaumont, which is a small place with only a little tiny school with about 20-odd people.
Mm-hmm.
I've got five other brothers, so the school by the time we got in there was quite a big hunk of the school. We left there to. As we got older, we had to get to a school with a high school, basically, or a town with a high school. So we shifted through to Milton, and I attended the primary school there, and then on to Tokamura High School.
Gotcha.
I got an automotive apprentice from leaving school, and I worked in Milton for about 12 years, I think it was. I was a mechanic around about the area,
yep.
And then I got sick of that, really, and my back started playing up.
Sure.
I'm quite tall, and bending over the bonnets all day was it started playing up on me. I went and worked on a dairy farm as a mechanic, but ended up in the dairy shed more than I was fixing gear or driving gear, so I left there and went and worked for BB Construction. They're a civil construction outfit in Clutha. I got my licenses for my digger and the truck and everything, and I worked there, building roads, building bridges, doing drainage, doing sewage and things in the towns, Dunedin, Clutha, all around the place. And then, I bought a little lifestyle block in Ben Har, just out of Clutha.
Yep.
And I lived there until I met Lynelle, my wife, who's running for Catlins.
Sure. And
we shifted down to Waka to her home base down here, and we're living on the farm down here now. I've got 2 kids with Lynelle,
yep.
And I've got 3 older kids that are living away from home, doing their own thing.
Oh, it's all go. Sounds like absolutely all go. So you've got Lynelle sitting there with you as well?
Yeah, Lynelle's here. Yep.
Excellent. Hello, Lynelle. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into why you're running for council.
Okay, well, I'm 4th generation in the Catlins. I was born and bred here, and my family came from here and settled here originally.
Yep.
And as Phil said, 2 kids with Phil and stepmum. I sort of left home and went and did a lot of banking in Australia and New Zealand, worked in the banks.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came back home to New Zealand, I got myself a degree. And then finally I got to move home after years and years trying to get back home. Finally got to move home, and then I used my degree and ran a business which I looked after clients throughout the South Island with, and that was looking after, well, my degree was in a little bit of commercial law and business administration. It was a commerce degree.
Okay.
And so I turned that into just helping businesses and listening to what their needs were, sort of like a bit of an analyst job.
Yep.
And then streamlining them so that they can get the best with all their marketing and everything that they were doing, the best bang for their buck. So really enjoyed doing that. And I met Phil while I was doing that.
Right.
And of late I've been caring for my mother and looking after the kids. And I haven't really used my degree that much, but I felt impatient to start with everything that was going on, and I've really been enjoying getting back into into the commerce of things, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The politics of things.
But just going on, we'll go straight off from that. So what's motivated you to want to run for council this time around?
Certainly the upheaval and the way that we are being guided or controlled, or however you want to put it, in our lives these days.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to have more of a voice. And I meet so many people that I talk a lot and hear their passion, and it's like they don't have a voice anymore. It's like they can't get out what they want to say. Yeah. And I know that I can put things into pertinent ways and work through bureaucracy. I've done it in the past. And so I felt, it was time to step up. It's time to use those skills. And I want to have a say about our local assets. Yep. I also want to have a say about the spending in our district at the moment, because there's lots of projects that are going on in our district and they all seem to be blowing out. There's performance targets and things like that. And I just wonder, why is everything blowing out all the time? Well, there's lots of reasons that people can say, but essentially it's about, you either watch on the sidelines or you get in to help change.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, I hear what you're saying there. What about yourself, Phil? What's motivated you to want to get amongst it into local body politics this time around?
Well, if I was completely honest, when I first started out, I probably didn't want to.
Yeah.
We've always lived rurally, and we've always had contact with farmers. My last job was at the engineers in Clutha. It was a great place to meet farmers, and especially on wet days, they'd all come in with their broken gear, and you'd fix it up and have a yarn. And I've done silage and things around in the countryside, especially over in Clyde Valleys, over in Clinton, etc.
Yep.
And you keep in touch with the farmers, and I've noticed over the last, probably 10 years, probably it's got worse than the last few, but over the last 10 years, I would say that the expectations from farmers and what they think they're going to get is certainly gone downhill.
Sure.
They feel like they're not being listened to. They feel like that they they're just a cash cow really to get money for one thing or another, whether it's from the regional council, just your local council or wherever. Yep. They're getting a bit of a raw deal.
Yep.
I actually set out to. I started voicing my disapproval for Three Waters. That's where I started getting involved in everything.
Yep.
And from that, the elections or the nominations turned up for the local body elections. And it looked like over at Clutha Valley that there wasn't going to be someone standing. The guy that's there is retiring. He's finishing on, when the elections have come through.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the secretive sort of way that they run things, there was no real, no one knew who was standing.
Yeah, gotcha.
So instead of having because I'm very concerned about the way that the government's running things, and we didn't want to have a tail wronger, basically, where there was no one standing, so the government sticks someone in.
Yeah, understand.
Appoints someone.
Yeah. And
so we decided, I'll stand in Clutha Valley.
Excellent.
And also, as it's turned out, I love the idea of it. I definitely think that there's time for a fresh change. We need people that are going to stand up and actually say what needs to be said.
Yep.
Be the voice of the farmer.
Sure.
The changes that are going to come down the line need someone like me that will actually say what needs to be said, because there's no point people going in there and just agreeing with everyone.
Yeah,
that's not what's going to be needed.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So my motivation to answer the question, my motivation to stand for council is the fact that I'm very aware of what's going to happen in the farming sector. And in small towns for that as well, because I've lived in small towns as well.
Yep.
And I seen a need for it, and I jumped on board.
Yep, and that's an absolutely fantastic reason. I totally understand where you're coming from there. Lynelle, were you to be successful in Catlins, heading back over to you, what would be one of the things that you'd want to dive into first at the council table?
Definitely addressing local government New Zealand and our position within local government New Zealand. And I know that it's legislations and statutes and things are happening all the time and things are changing,
yeah.
But definitely making a position and making a plan for if it does get repealed, how we're going to look after our district in that regard. Pretty much close on the heels of that would definitely be the spending.
Yeah.
And getting some really good viable reports on end dates of projects, what is planned. Just, definitely the spending would be high on the account, because the feedback I get is people don't know. They don't understand why it has to be so much. And even there's some planned budgeted projects that are planned that clearly some of the district doesn't want.
Yeah.
So maybe not in that regard. It's about surveys, polls. There's a lot of ways that you can get out to people these days. I feel that the culture within council is too old.
Yeah.
Not all councils are, you can do polls and all sorts of things to get feedback. Not all councils have to wait forever for answers.
Yeah. No, 100% hear you on that one. That's a good reason. What about yourself,
so
Phil?
Sharpening up some of that would be good.
Yep, absolutely. What about yourself, Phil?
Well, the first thing that's going to happen, obviously, is this Three Waters is going to keep getting pushed through, because they've already started with it.
Yeah, unbelievably so, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a big thing. I mean, we've walked around the streets, we've talked to everyone, and I haven't come across anyone that's got a good word to say for it. So I'm not sure where in the district where they got the idea that anyone even wanted it.
Yeah, it's bizarre, actually. I've done quite a bit of coverage on it in Kiwi Voice. Blenheim and Christchurch and other parts of the country, and the Three Waters Roadshow, and overwhelmingly from councillors in major cities and smaller areas, like you say, there's no one seems to support it. Not really. It's like 90-10, if that, or 95-5. Yeah.
I'd agree with that, but on the back of that, you've got no one's supporting it except our council. I mean, our council are ripping ahead with it. They're making up stories about that they're opposing it. They're working within the regulations. I mean, at the end of the day, if a regulation's flawed or something's not right, you stand up and you say, no, we don't want it. You do something about it. You don't go along with it and then try and fix the problem as you're going along, because that seems to be what they're doing.
Yes.
They're working very hard to create a solution to a problem that should never have happened. That's my take on it. And I think I've been to all these candidate meetings now. I'm probably one of the only people that has gone to all three of them.
Yep.
I've went the whole lot, and I've watched the way that our mayor has actually worked with the councillors. And to be fair, I thought the councillors didn't have a voice, but I now would say that some of them have got a voice, but they're not allowed to say it. I would say that they get their voices changed, because I've watched the way that he handles the councillors. Yeah. And that in itself is a big problem. I am not someone that would, once I've made my mind up, and you've got to remember that when you're in council, you're actually acting for someone else. It's not always your opinion. It's generally if you're doing it right, it should be what people want. So if people come to me and they told me to say no, that's what you're going to get. You're never going to get a yes out of me if the people that elected me said you need to say no.
That's just doing your job, right?
Well, that's how you'd think it would work. That's right, but that doesn't seem to be the way that it's happening.
Yeah.
And like I say, I watched a piece of a live stream today that they put on. We got a Zoom call going into a meeting, and I watched the way that meeting was conducted. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of things in there that I thought, well, if I was in that room, it wouldn't have happened that way. No way it would have happened like that.
Yeah, good.
So, that would be the first thing. Obviously, Lynelle's dead right. The spending side of things, I mean, the whole world is slowing down. They're all talking about recession. We've got a $30 million great big bucket on the main street that they haven't finished. It's a new civic centre or council offices or whatever it is, the hub they're calling it. And it just seems to be an endless wanting for money.
Yeah.
We asked him the other night at a meeting what the end price was going to be, and he couldn't tell us.
Right.
Couldn't or wouldn't. And things like that. There's a swimming pool in Milton that the cost of it, do you know what the cost of that's gone from, Lynelle? I mean, it started off as
at 5, then it went to 7.
Yeah.
And last I heard in the paper, it was up to 13. And
that's $1 million.
Yeah, and for such a small community, Yeah.
This is my next point. I mean, the actual rate base in this district is very small.
Yeah.
So, and what ends up happening rather, is that the farmers, because there's a lot of farmers in the rural area, they end up subsidising one way or another the projects that carry on, especially in town, because that's the only way they can do it. They put a wee bit on everyone's.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a fair go. I know a lot of them don't want it, and a lot of them will probably never ever step foot in the building, to be fair.
Yeah.
And they're paying for these sort of things. And it's just another cost, another push where they're paying a wee bit more, and it's just not on.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost of living's ridiculous, so people are just got to start being a bit more careful with their money.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the reviews too that drive me nuts. It's if someone does have a voice and speak out and go, "This, we're not happy with that," then they go, "Oh well, we better have a review on that." Next minute, there's more money down the tubes.
Yes.
On some sort of review. Yeah, it's just a different. There are other ways to do things, and sometimes it takes fresh eyes.
Yes.
Fresh focus.
Yeah, I think myself, Lucas, that the council has become accustomed to doing something a certain way,
Yep.
and they're blind to the fact that there's different ways of doing things.
Yep.
They won't like me saying this. I mean,
Of course not.
it's ridiculous what's happening. On Facebook and that now, we're getting sort of trolled by council members, and they're getting into our groups and not saying a lot, but using it in their meetings. They're sort of skulking around the background, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
I wish they'd just join the group and have a conversation, but they're not doing that. They're just doing it by stealth, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the whole point of democracy, and specifically in these smaller areas, is to get fresh ideas, like you say, and a fairly regular set of changed eyes, to continue to represent the ever evolving nature of the community that you're supposed to represent. So yeah, I would agree with you on that point.
But, yeah, well, the other point I'd make, and you brought that up yourself, is it's not actually as much the evolving nature of the community, it's also the evolving nature of what the government is doing at the moment.
Yes.
The politics that they're pushing down, it's not clear-cut, it's not democratic. They've got this new system where they're just sort of pushing things through, mandating stuff if you don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And what you need is someone that's actually going to say no, and they're going to say, we're not going to put up with this, because if this gets slowly but surely gets screwed and changed, what are they going to do? The Three Waters is the test pot for the way I look at it.
Yep.
What's going to happen when all the stuff that's going on overseas? We've all seen, if you've got your eyes open, you've all seen what's happening overseas with the Dutch farmers and all the other farmers, what happened in Sri Lanka, etc.
Yep.
Some of that stuff will come here. We've already lost our refinery. That was another business that they privatised, gave away to a foreign company, and then it's shut down in front of our eyes. And we've got that can happen to our water services once they contract that out.
Yep.
It's an easy step between the government not owning it and someone else coming in and taking over that contract. So what we need, if this is the way that this council is going to handle the Three Waters, go along with a flawed plan, pretend they're working for you, what's going to happen when they say, right, we're going to reduce nitrogen by 30% or something?
Yeah.
Or what's going to happen if they say we want to reduce the cow numbers by 50% because it's damaging the environment?
Yep. All
these things. It doesn't give me any hope that they're going to stand up, or the people are going to stand up and actually fight for the people. That's what I'm really worried about.
Yeah, 100%. You're exactly right, and it's got to start at this level. I don't disagree with you at all. Yeah, very much so, and it's good to see that we're getting sort of free-thinking individuals such as yourselves in different parts of the country. We're seeing little elements of it in the Christchurch City Council here, where I'm based, where they've unanimously voted against. Well, not unanimously, but voted against the intensification regulations for the central city, etc. Some little things are cropping up here and there, but we need more of it for sure. Hey, look, that's probably us for time. If people want to, have you got websites, Facebook pages, that sort of thing? Where do people go if they want to learn about Phil and Lynelle running for council?
I'm on Philly B, or just Phil Barrett. You'll get me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we're also both in, what's that called? Southern Democracy, or Councils for Southern Democracy, in our Facebook group on there.
Okay.
And we've got Democratic Now Clutha, I think, or Democratic Clutha is the other Facebook group that we're on.
Gotcha.
And the other thing I'd quickly like to say, Lucas, I know we're running out of time.
That's okay. No problem.
The only mayoral candidate we've got down here at the moment that is battling Three Waters, or has got the sense to battle Three Waters, is Gail Oates, she is doing a really cool job. She's taking the mayor on head on.
Yep.
She's not scared of him, and she's actually making a fair bit of sense. So if anyone wants to look her up. That's Gail Oates.
Okay.
And
Yeah, Bob.
that'll be excellent.
Yeah, if you could, after we finish this, if you could flick me an email with her details, if you've got them, and yeah, we'll chuck them up there, or I might even get in touch and try and have a yarn with her as well.
Right. And Lucas, if I could just quickly thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, because we've had a real shit run in the media. I mean, I don't even trust the mainstream media for giving us a fair crack at anything. But platforms like this is what the way forward. I'm sure it's going to be the way forward for everyone, because it's open, it's honest, it's not edited, it's not, what it is what it is. It's not changed in any way.
Yeah,
so I appreciate
100%.
that.
Yeah, look, and it would be good to, by all means, ask around some of the others, or I'll put the word out there as well. Obviously, we've got a network of us independent people. I mean, we're not making really much of anything, or if anything at all, in terms of money off this stuff. We're just doing it because for the same reason that you guys are standing up for council, and we just feel like that there's a need to get the voice out there, unbiased, and away from government-funded mainstream media for sure. So. Absolutely, let's stay in touch, and I'll chuck a couple of overlays across, because this is going to be posted up as a video in the next sort of half an hour. I'll go inside and chuck it up, of your details, your and Lynelle's details. We'll chuck it over rather than just staring at my face talking to you the whole time, and we support you all the way.
Thanks very much, Lucas.
Awesome.
Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Bye-bye. So there we go, a couple more free-thinking individuals down there in Clutha District. So get amongst it if that's your kind of thing, by all means. It's really important that we get as many people out to vote in these upcoming local council elections. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate all the love from everyone out there. Stay safe, stay free. We'll see you again real soon.